Dr. Demartini, welcome. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.
Today we're going to be talking about 3 steps to beating financial anxiety. And I certainly know I've experienced myself anxiety around finances and learning to manage my money and my wealth. And I've learned how intimately related it is to my health and my well-being, and that anxiety, when we're not managing our money and our relationship to money, impacts our relationship to our health. So I wanted to talk to you today about 3 key values that I know you have in relationship to money and creating wealth and financial health.
Okay, perfect. First thing I'd like to share that everybody lives by a set of priorities, a set of values, things that are most important to least important in their life. And that set of values, or hierarchy of values, dictates their financial destiny. I'm going to say it again. The hierarchy of one's values dictates their financial destiny. So let's just say you meet somebody, and it's a woman, and her highest values are children, children's health, children's education, children's entertainment. And then next is home, furniture, socializing, travel, and then shopping and fitness, and then shoes and shoes and shoes and shoes and shoes, and Jimmy Choo shoes. That set of values, even if you went down further, you don't see building business, you don't see building wealth, you don't see saving money in that list. So the second that woman gets money and receives it from whatever form, either from working, inheritance, or even from her husband, that money will spend according to her values. The hierarchy of your values dictates how you spend and manage your money. It does not matter how much you make. What matters is how you manage what you make, and your values dictate how you manage it. Because the second she gets money, most of it's going to go to her children. If there's a little extra, then it's going to go to the house. And a little extra, it's going to go to entertainment and travel, and finally, it's going to be shopping at the end. You have other set of values that shopping's at the top. They're consumers. The second they get money, they spend it on immediate gratification and consumerism. And they buy depreciables that go down in value the moment they buy them. People that have a wealth value system, they have a desire to build a business that serves people, so they have a source of income. They have a desire to manage the business so it's profitable. They have a desire to save a portion of it to build up liquidity to stabilize the business so they have a sustainable business and to reduce the volatilities and emotions. They have a desire to invest and learn the art of investing so it's working for them. And they have a desire to accumulate money and a cause for money. When they have those values, when they get money, instead of spending it, they put it in investments so the money works for them and so they become its master, instead of them working for money so they become its slave. So the hierarchy of one's values dictates their financial destiny. Now, what does that have to do with the anxiety? Anytime you set a goal that's not aligned with your values, you're going to have what I call the A, B, C, D's, E's of negativity. Internal anger and aggression, internal blame and feelings of betrayal, internal criticism and challenge, internal despair and depression, and the desire to escape. And people have that around their financial situation. They feel frustrated and angry at themselves. They blame themselves. They feel they betrayed themselves. They can't get ahead. They criticize themselves. They feel depressed, and they want to escape their life. And that's because they're expecting to get wealthy and have more money at the end of their month than month at the end of their money, but they don't have the values that will lead them there. So the second they get money, they immediately spend it and buy depreciables and consumables, which make them go into debt instead of actually going to get into assets that grow and become financially wealthy. So unless you have the hierarchy of values that is really geared towards saving and investing in money, it's not likely to happen. And you're going to have anxieties around it. And what's interesting is that money circulates through the economy from those who value it least to those who value it most. And from people who value themselves least to people who value themselves most. And people that value serving people least to those who value serving people the most. So that leads to 3 things. If you exaggerate yourself and project your values onto others and minimize them, you're not going to meet their needs when you're serving them, and you won't have a source of income. If you minimize yourself and exaggerate others when you're going into negotiation or selling, then you'll give away your profits. You'll negotiate away your profits. But if you have equanimity within yourself and equity between you and others, and you're equal, then you'll care enough to communicate what you have to offer, your product, services, or ideas in terms of their values. They'll buy it, and you'll meet their needs, which is a source of income, and you'll meet your own needs, which you mean, I value myself, my self-worth is up, and I'll save a portion. So net worth occurs when you have other worth and self-worth together. It means you care enough about others to serve them, and you care enough about yourself to save. When you put those two together, you're on your way to having some self-worth. When you live by your highest values, you have more of an equitable mind. You have objective reasoning, and you're more understanding that it takes serving people to have a source of income, and it takes saving in order to keep that. But if you're living in an unfulfilled life, the animal brain, the amygdala comes online, and you want to avoid pain and seek pleasure, and you want immediate gratification. And you have addictive behaviors to consumerism, and you're consuming other people's brands because you're not fulfilled instead of building your own brand to fulfill yourself and others.
So that relationship between self-worth and the core values, is there an order in which comes first? You have to have self-worth first in order then to make those core values in order in which they need to be for you to attract the money?
Well, no, every human being has a set of values no matter what. It's automatically there. They're born and they're evolving through their lives. It's evolving, but they have a core set of values. If they set goals that match it, they have fulfillment. But if they don't have a value on wealth building, then they'll have a fantasy about wealth building. 1% of the population or less become financially independent. Only 1%. So most people don't have a value on wealth building. They have a value on consumerism. They want the fancy lifestyle, the rich and famous.
So they can have a value on themselves,
yeah,
but just not a value on...
Well, they won't have financial independence unless they have a value on wealth building. It's not going to happen. Or unless they inherit it or marry somebody that has it. So you've got a choice. Either set goals that match your values to have fulfillment, but you may or may not have financial independence unless you have a value on wealth building. Or you can change your values to match your goals. So I train people in both of them in my programs because some people have a great set of values and they don't want to change it. They're grateful, but they just need to set real goals that now match it so they can feel fulfilled and quit living in fantasies about who they are. Others would like to change their values. Really simple. You change a value spontaneously by stacking up benefits associated with it. Let me give you an example. If a young girl who's 8 years old is about to sing solo in front of her elementary school, and she's got a white dress on and pigtails, and she stands up and is about to sing, and she goes and sings, and she's like an angel. Her voice is perfectly clear. She doesn't miss a tune. Perfect pitch, and does it, and they applaud, and they give a standing ovation. She's probably going to sing again. But if she goes up there and gets off key, forgets her words and everything else, and wants to run off stage, and people throw at her and boo at her, and they don't want to talk to her afterwards, she may never get up there again. So the pleasures or the pains associated with an event can make you accentuate or decentuate doing something. So you can stack up benefits and raise a value up on your value list, or you can stack up drawbacks and lower it and remodel your value system. Life's doing it anyway, but you can do it consciously. So I can literally add new values and help wealth building become high on a person's values. I do it every weekend in programs to show them how to build wealth in their life. Because until they have truly a value on it, it's not going to happen. I mean, I've been watching people get wealthy or not. I've interviewed many, many billionaires, and I can see the people that are poor in townships versus very wealthy, and they have a different set of values.
So long as you have a value on wealth building, but not a value on yourself, you can still create the value?
Your self-worth is directly proportionate to the congruency between your actions and your values. If you're setting a goal and you're taking action that's aligned with your highest value, your self-worth goes up. If you set a goal that's not aligned with your highest values, your self-worth goes down. Because if you set a goal that's aligned with your highest values, you're disciplined, reliable, and focused. And you have an acute awareness of what it takes to see opportunities and act on them. But if you're setting goals that aren't really important to you, you'll procrastinate, hesitate, and frustrate. You'll be unfulfilled. If it's challenging, you'll give up on it, and you'll want immediate gratification to compensate. The key is to set goals that are congruent. The key is to make sure you have a value on wealth building. If you put those two together, you're on your way to get the 1%ers. If not, you're going to bang your head against the wall with the ABCDs of negativity and think there's something wrong with you, and your self-worth is going to go down because you're trying to be wealthy without the values that will lead you there. And the second you get money, you keep spending it. You go, I keep sabotaging. Why am I doing that? Why do I blow my money? No, you're not blowing money. You're spending it on what really is valuable to you. You just think you have a value on wealth building. I asked people, 5,000 people in South Africa, and I stood up and I said, how many of you want to be financially independent? All the hands went up. I said, quickly, write down on a piece of paper. I'm going to give you 60 seconds to write down what you would do if I give you $10 million US. So on your mark, get set, you got 60 seconds, go. The 10 most important things you would do if all of a sudden you had $10 million. You never had to work again. And they quickly wrote it all down. I said, now pass it to the person next to you. And then calculate how much of that 10 million is spent and left, as actually cash left. 99% of that room had spent between $2 and $8 million in less than a minute. I could go on that trip, I could buy that new car. They were all buying depreciables, and they were fantasizing about the wealthy lifestyle. Those people will never be financially independent. There were 7 people out of 5,000 people that honestly wrote down what they would do with investments to make it 20. Those are the 7 that are going to be financially independent. Because if you don't have a value on wealth building, it's not going to happen. And people have fantasies all the time, and they go, well, I can't seem to get ahead. They have plenty of money. I've seen people double and quadruple their income over a 20-year period and still can't pay their bills. Because it's not about how much you make, it's about how you manage what you make, and how you manage it is based on your values.
And I remember experiencing exactly what you're talking about. I listened to a whole series on your financial coaching, and one part of it always stuck with me, and it was the simple commitment to put 10% away of everything that you earned. From the moment I listened to that one line on that CD, I started from that day onwards, the next paycheck, I started putting 10% away. And just how it made me feel the moment I did that. It alleviated so much anxiety because I knew at a level I was saving. Even if it felt like a struggle to put that 10% away, I'd look at where I'd have to stop spending in order to be able to put that 10% away. And how that made me feel changed my whole mindset.
And you attracted more opportunities for money.
I did.
Yeah, because when you manage money wisely, you get more money to manage. It's a basic law. People always wait for extra to do it, but Parkinson's law won't allow them to. If you don't spend your money on savings and investments up front and pay yourself first, you will always have unexpected bills come in to erode the possibility. You can't pay yourself last, you pay yourself first. Rich people automatically pay themselves first, poor people automatically pay themselves last. So it's been historically shown. You have to value yourself, and you have to value wealth. And I made a statement, boy, this is really going to push some buttons out there. I was speaking at a church, and the room, I wouldn't say it was the wealthiest church, it was kind of a mid-range. And I said, if you're poor, it's because you don't care about humanity. And I just paused just to see what their reaction is. And people, you could see them ruffling up their feathers, sitting up. I said, because if you care about humanity, you're going to go find out what people need, and you're going to directly or indirectly find a solution to solve those needs because you care about people and you want to help them. When you do, you have a source of income. If you don't care about humanity and you're kind of living in this socialistic world, the world's supposed to take care of you, an entitlement instead of an empowerment, you're going to be poor in life. You have to care about humanity to go out and find a way of serving it. You have a talent, you have a unique competitive advantage based on whatever's highest on your values, and it serves. If you value that, you have a source of service. But if you don't value you, you won't keep it. If you started valuing you. And the moment you value you, the world starts valuing you. The moment you pay yourself first, other people start paying you first.
And I think also another lesson that I learned, and I'm still refining, still learning within that space, is the relationship, the mental and emotional relationship towards money and valuing money itself. So valuing, if I see a 5 cents piece, I'll pick it up because I value it, not just, oh, it's only 5 cents, and leave it there.
I got to share a story. I was 9 years old, and I went to my dad and I said, Dad, I want to earn some money because I want to buy a baseball and a bat and a glove. And he said, well, have you mowed the yard? Yes, because I had those responsibilities. Have you edged the sidewalk? Yes. Have you clipped the hedges? Yes. Have you swept the sidewalk? Yes. Have you cleaned out the gutters? Yes. Have you cleaned the garage? Yes. Have you pulled the weeds? Yes. Have you cleaned your room? Yes. He said, son, I don't have anything else that needs to be done, so I can't just give you money without you doing some service. So I suggest you go to the neighbors and see if you can find something profitable and productive for them. I went, okay. So I went down the street. I went up to the Evans, which is 2 doors down. And I saw that their yard was sort of messy, and I knew I could do something about it. And I asked if I could help straighten up their yard. And she said, well, how much? I didn't know what to think. And so I just made up a number, and they said, well, that sounds fair. And I spent most of the day clipping the hedges. I got stung by bees. I trimmed it. I did everything, and I used all the equipment from the garage. And I went out and bought baseball and a glove with the money I made. And my dad said, I see you got a new baseball and glove. That's fantastic. Where did you get it? And I said, well, I did what you said. I worked. He said, what equipment did you use? And I said, well, the one in the garage. He said, son, I have to teach you something. There's a thing called depreciation, and there's cost in that use of that equipment. And let's calculate what you did, and let me calculate what you owe me. And it turned out to be $7.50. Well, I had already spent the money. So I went, oh, gosh. And now I had to do 2 yards to pay that back, plus what I owed him for those 2 yards. And I learned that that was the responsibility I had. And I understood that. He explained it to me. And then one day I was burned out a little bit, working harder and making less. And some kid came by on a bicycle, and I saw him, and I said, hey, would you like to push the lawnmower? I'll pay you 50 cents to push the lawnmower. He said, yeah. So I got 3 kids helping do the yards, another 3 kids, another 3 kids. I got 9 kids working. I went and borrowed the Zubrods and the Malas equipment across the street. And I had 3 pieces of equipment doing 3 yards at a time, going through the neighborhood, doing all the yards. And I ended up paying everybody else, my dad off, everything else, and I made a net of $45 after everything was paid. This is the 1963, which is about $700 a day today, which is good money. If I had a kid like that, I'd have more kids. So my dad saw that that was happening, but I was spending my money, buying bicycles, buying golf clubs, buying this and that. And he saw I wasn't saving, so he bought me a coin collection set, and he bought me a piggy bank. He said, I want you to put money in there to teach you how to learn to save, because if you keep consuming it, you'll always have to work. But if you start saving, it will work for you. So I filled up the coin collection and started putting the right coins in there, and it was kind of fun, and thought longer term. And I got the piggy bank. My dad never gave me the key or the combination to open that piggy bank. In my 52nd floor building in Houston, Texas, in my office in the credenza, is that original bank 52 years ago. Still sitting with the same original coins. It's worth probably, I don't even know how much today, those original coins. And it's still there, and I never wanted to use that money because it was a metaphor for thinking long term. And then my father did one more thing. He said, I want you to know what it's like to buy your freedom. I said, what is that? Every time he talks to me, I'm losing money. I said, what is that? He said, I want you to know what it's like to have freedom. So from now on, you're going to pay for clothing, rent, and food. But now you're going to have freedom on your new bicycle to go anywhere you want as long as you're home at 9 o'clock at night. So I started exploring 35-mile bike rides, 40-mile bike rides on my bike, and come back and be there by 9 o'clock, and bought freedom, but I had to pay him $7.50 a week. In the process of doing it, I got my freedom, and he was trying to prepare me for being an entrepreneur, to let you know that the more accountable you have, the more opportunities you have in life. And I'm very grateful for that. And sometimes today we rescue people, enable people, instead of making them accountable. We rob them of dignity, accountability, responsibility, and productivity, and then expect them to have wealth consciousness. They don't have a void to drive them to want to build wealth. And so as a result of it, we have a social environment where everybody's expecting other people to take care of them.
Could you give us, before we finish, maybe just 3 simple exercises that our audience could start doing for themselves today that would start to improve their relationship with money? I mean,
the first thing I would do is make a list of everything you do in a day. Everything. Your entire day, personal and professional. And then put next to it, how much does it produce per minute or hour? How much does it actually generate? And then next to that, how much meaning does it give you? And next to that is, what would it be the replacement cost if you had to delegate that to somebody? And next to it is how much time spent. And get in touch with how you're really managing your day and looking at what you're doing. Because if you're doing things that all are lower value and devaluing you, you're going to have a devalued consciousness. But if you're doing the highest priority things, the most productive things that serve the most people, that produce the most income, you're going to raise your wealth consciousness. So first do an inventory about how you're really spending your day. Because if you're doing low priority things and doing devalued things, you're going to have a devalued life. But if you're doing the highest priority things that serve the most people, that make the biggest difference, that have meaning, that you can't wait to do, that makes a difference, and you get rewarded for it, then next, after you identify that, make sure you save a portion of it, like you'd say. Save a 10%. If you're 20 years old, if you save 10%, you can retire at 65, financially independent. If you're 30 years old, you'll need to do 20%. If you're 40 years old, 30%. 50 years old, 40%. 60 years old, 50% of your income. So the longer you wait, the harder it is to do, and the less probable. So the sooner you get started on saving and then learning to invest after you built up a cushion of cash, the greater your financial possibilities. So save and then invest before you ever speculate. So save a portion of it, And then make sure on the daily basis that you're grateful for what you get to do. Because when you're grateful for what you get more to be grateful for. And learn and study it, become educated on it. Because intelligent people that really know about wealth building are the people that end up with it. I've never met a wealthy person that didn't understand wealth. So study and make it a commitment to do it. Warren Buffett, by age 11, had read every book in Omaha, Nebraska library on wealth building and finance by the time he's 11. So he's wealthy because he had a value on it. So, and also, one last thing, stack up 1,000 benefits of why building a business, managing a business wisely, saving a portion of it, investing it, accumulating it, and serving a cause with it. Write down 1,000 benefits of doing those things. If you do, you'll have a bigger reason for doing it, and you'll actually end up with wealth financially. We all have wealth in non-financial terms. Our children, our social life, our spiritual quest. But if you want financial life, wealth in financial ways, you'll have to have a value on it and serve people.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, your wisdom. I've certainly reduced my levels of anxiety by following so much of your guidance around finances. And I hope that that's going to be the same for our audience, and I know it will be.
Thank you.